Now we're gonna go back to South America and gonna look at Colombia, and we're gonna see how the population is doing then, and most important, the main event of the video, how exactly those people live with Street View from Google Earth. Now, population from Colombia, it's huge. I would say 54 or 53 million people, and we're gonna see they're still climbing. The growing rate is going down, but that don't think it's gonna mean that much for the near future. But let's see the numbers now. 1955, 13.5 million, so I would say pretty decent population. But now 2025 you can see 53, 54 million people, which is a huge increase. Even back then it was 2.7% increase by year, and now it's just a bit above 1%. That translates back then in 341,000 net increase, and now it's more than 500,000 increase. Migration back then was on the minus, and now look at this. From pandemic times, they pretty much have a minus migration for all the history of this chart. But from pandemic, including pandemic, they receiving people. They have a lot of migration there. Medium age back then 16 years old, now 32, so double the age, which is huge. Fertility rate back then 6.6, 6.7, which is huge, absolutely insane. Now it's 1.6, so below replacement. They got below replacement, I would say, in 2015, and after that I would say they receiving migrants. Now global rank, it's important in this country. 1955 33, now 28, so they increase. And also the urban population back then was 42%, now 80%, so almost double it. Now for the future, 2050 gonna be around 60 million people, when that's gonna be pretty much by this chart the last year of growing the population. I believe the growing population is gonna stop much earlier, and then by 2050 you're gonna see already a decrease in population. But you're gonna look this chart and you're gonna say you're gonna have pretty much a net increase of 38,000 people with migration on the minus. You can see migration, they forecast that it's gonna decline year by year. Now that depends on other factors, so we're gonna see in the future how that is gonna play. But one thing, it's certainly that the population, they are going down, especially like I say, you can see here in growth they're going down, but also in percentage rate. But also we're gonna see the net increase, the population is gonna go less with every year, and probably by 2050 I would say already gonna see a minus population, not a level out. Probably there's gonna be a peak of population around 2040, 2045, depends on how much migration they're gonna receive, because the replacement rate they are always under that, starting with 2015 I would say. Now median age, that's important. Keep in mind 32 years old now, and 2050 43, so we're gonna add another, that's already they double from 1955 to today, and then they're gonna add another 10 years until 2050. So in 25 years they're gonna add another 10 years. Probably that's gonna be actually higher. So I assume it's gonna go past 45 years old, the median age in Colombia. But we're gonna see how that is gonna play. Fertility rate, they say 1.6, around that. I would say lower. I would say get lucky if they get 1. Global rank, they're gonna increase from the 28 to 34, and that doesn't mean that much. Urban population is gonna be stable. They're not gonna increase that much. They say from 80% to 82% in the next 25 years. Which just shows some data increasing in other countries. But I think probably from the rest of the world, by 2050 you're gonna see also some increasing in pretty much any country. But after 2050 I would say you're gonna see some decreasing. But again, depends a lot how those numbers are calculated, and what is considered urban area and what is considered countryside. Now we have some problem here. Look at this. First of all, the life expectancy for both sexes, they're going up. 78 years old, which is good. Females 80, 81, males around 76, 75, which is pretty good. But with that huge population increase, infant mortality rate 9.3, and death under age of 5 11.3, which is huge. So that shows me the medical system is not that great, and also the life in this country is not great compared with what we saw in Europe so far. Even like I say, Belarus, which is not that well seen in Europe, it's way better than this country and way better than most of the countries. And with all of that, with how much poorness, I would say, poverty it's in this country, you still have a huge increase in population. That just shows mostly, like I said, probably from the culture, but that is gonna stop once, you can see already they're gonna stop when those young people reach those adult age and decided to just postpone kids, probably because of money, I would say, first reason. And that's why I'm gonna say by the end of the century, probably the Colombia is gonna have the population cut in half, probably around 25 million, if not lower than that, probably under 20 million people, which is a good thing. But we're gonna see that probably in 2050 we're gonna have more results of that. Now, demographic pyramid, once again, we have a male surplus here pretty much until the age of 38 years old. So huge problem, like pretty much the rest of the countries. I would say, I'm not sure how exactly they're doing with the conflict on this continent, but clearly we have a male surplus, so you can start a war pretty much. I would say fertility rate on this side, they say 1.7. Yeah, not that huge, I would say, but still pretty accurate, let's call it like that. Now economic, well, here is starts to have some problem. Look at the GDP growth. Like I say, I don't believe those numbers that exactly they are, especially with inflation. Even those numbers, like I say, pretty much orientative, just gonna pretty much give us an idea. GDP growth in 2022 7.5, huge. 2023 1%, huge decrease, and 2024 1.9. That just pretty much double it from 2030, but 2023, but still not a huge one. But look at this GDP per capita, under $8,000, which is very, very low, extremely low. So clearly the poverty in this country is absolutely huge, especially with such a big population. And probably that we're gonna see when you look exactly how those people live. And I'm gonna say again, I'm gonna say it always, when you have that many people in country, it doesn't matter. It matters how much money you have per capita, but at some point that is gonna not be that important, because even in America you can see a lot of money for per capita, but when you have that many people, and it's gonna be much harder, even with the more money, to keep, like I say, nice housing market, good roads, good lifestyle. You're gonna see that. I mean, we saw make comparison between Estonia and we're gonna see what we're gonna find in Colombia, but I strongly believe that Colombia is gonna be much worse than Estonia. Now the history, well, it's not that much to say, but let's go to it. Not a huge, especially modern country. The age of, let's say, before the Europeans arrive, I don't think it mattered that much. Pretty much North South America right now, the only thing that matters, it's just after, even you can hear, after the arrival of the Europeans. Now, pretty much from 1886 the country remained unchanged. This chart says, like I said, the history doesn't play that much, I would say, in this video. Now the main event, now it is. Let's see how those people actually live and how well are they doing. Keep in mind, 54 million people with pretty much an 8,000 per capita nominal. Nominal is more important, I would say, than their purchasing power. I explained that why in the other videos. Don't have to go right again with those. Now let's start randomly. Like I say, always go randomly on the map. I have no idea. I don't expect to see pretty much anything that great, but clearly some low expectation. Now, yeah, doesn't look that great. I'm gonna start with this one, but I don't think it's that accurate position there. Also, in the countryside, wildness, I would say, in this country, yeah, you can make some nice documentaries. That part, it looks great. That's a nice beach here. Yeah, it's not much you complain about this part, but when you're gonna look at the urban areas and how those people actually live, well, there's gonna be a difficulty. There's gonna be a different story, I would say. In this one, I have no idea if it's a hotel, but it looks pretty clean. I like this one. Oh, it was something there, but I didn't see it. No Google Street View, but I give them a pass because it's pretty much a very remote area. So, yeah, The landscape pretty awesome, I would say, but it's a South American country. You can expect that. You have to have that. I don't think that's a huge problem for them not having something nice to show off. Pretty nice, I would say, even here. Clearly they have to adapt expectation for those countries, because they're not hugely different culture. They're not yeah, they are colonized by Europeans, but it's not the same story as we see in Europe. And like I say, pretty much now I can compare it with what we saw in those Baltic states. Yeah, clearly the housing is pretty much trash. No roads whatsoever. Doesn't even, I was afraid to say no good roads, but some potholes. But just no, they don't have the road in itself. What year was that? Let me check that. So 2014, and 10 years later, not that much changes. Yeah, they have some roads here. They have some tarmac, which is decent, but still, yeah, they don't look that well. They have some garbage here. I have no idea what is that. This one, it looks unfinished for a while. I like they don't have helmets. It probably is not a mandatory to wear helmets on the motorcycle, which I like it. It gives you some more freedom to that. A lot of garbage here. I have no idea what plant is that. Yeah, it is pretty. Oh, this is a banana tree, I think. Keep in mind, we're going to those remote areas. We're gonna go later in the main cities, I would say. Let's see how well they're doing there. But in this one, whoa, not so well. Yeah, 2014, more than 10 years ago. So clearly, we have to expect some good change, I would say. If they make, oh my god, that's street view today, but yeah, well, kind of says everything. Okay, let's move another part of the country. Let's see what else we can see. This looks like a big city. Let's check this one. Now, expect much better here. This is 2019, so before pandemic. A lot of garbage on the street. Have no idea what is supposed to do with this one. What is this? Why they have these pins here? A lot of cables. Okay, this is something goes wrong here. I have no idea how we're gonna identify the right cable to do repairs. This is pretty much a square. I like to have the hills in the background. Nice palm trees here. A lot of graffiti that doesn't look that well. The buildings are not that well maintained. They look very old. Yeah, not a great area, I would say, and probably this is the best we're gonna find here. In this type of countries, definitely we need to have, especially in the main cities, good neighborhoods and bad ones, 100%. This one doesn't look that well, but I'm not gonna sit in one of them and just looking for them. If it's happened to just find randomly one, good for us. Otherwise, I'm not gonna look for it. Now, here pretty much everything is jammed together. There's no one tree. You can find one tree. This is pretty much some green here, but that's it. That's all you're gonna find. Roads, yeah, pretty much horrible. Oh, we have some trees, but they're already outside this urban area, let's call it like that. Yeah, doesn't look great. I'm gonna start in a bad way. Let's go here. Maybe get more luck here. Only down on the hills. No, that's even worse. We find the bad areas, that's for sure. And this is 2014. So yeah, again, maybe they change a bit better by today, but I don't expect that much actually. See, that's happening when you have so many people in, and still they multiply for whatever reason. They're still growing up. Probably this is what's happened. Probably this is gonna be one of those humans revolution in civilization, that we're gonna realize that we don't need that many people, and the more they are in one place, the pretty much worse you're gonna live. especially if you have in that transition period and you don't have enough for everyone, but for some reason the population in this country decided to multiply themselves to the infinite, that endless grow. Probably we're gonna realize that pretty soon, that it's not sustainable even in economic or population terms. And the young generation looks like they kind of understand that in a way. Yeah, the main motive is still money. They don't afford the family, but probably if they could afford one, they will still not that have like 6 kids, 7 kids like this older generation had, and gonna pretty much hit the brakes with 1, maybe 2 kids, and that's it. Yeah, overall I have to say, oh my god, even here you have those communist buildings, for God's sake. Phew, poverty, it's at home here. But again, can you imagine Colombia if they have just 1 million people, how well they're gonna live? Yeah, much better. But no, they decided to have like 7 kids. Well, good luck with that. Whew, main cities now. Again, randomly on the map. Let's hope for something good. And no, we didn't get something good. I'm not sure how exactly the government wants to tackle those problems. I'm not blaming it. At some point have 50 million people and still multiplied. I mean, from tax purposes, yeah, it's great for them. You just take the money and that's it. Don't give that much in return, clearly. But as they don't have a street view here. As an average guy, how do you see this actually ends it? Because I don't think like it's gonna end well for anyone. Not garbage on the street, so it is good, I would say. At least that. Now they have some garbage here. Oh, yes, they have a lot of garbage on the street. What year is 2019? Oof. Yeah, blur that. That's the way it's gonna do it. They have a lot of cars, I have to say. I like those pickup trucks, very nice. The architecture, yeah, it's just pretty much zero in my opinion. It's just they just build a square, they put some windows on it and call it a house. And this one doesn't have a paint or a insulation. Oh, that's a nice car. Whew, 50 million people living like this. Whew. I wonder why. Why they say, you know what should do? We should make another child. Look how great we live. We want to share that with someone else. Let's check this one. It looks like apartment buildings, I think. Yeah, I don't want to have pretty much. We're gonna see other Southern American countries. All these cables just all over the place. How is that aesthetic? Let's call it like that. Yeah, well, very hard to find something nice here, I would say. It's on the on the countryside it is pretty nice, I have to say that. It's just pretty much South American country, it's nice. A lot of garbage here. Otherwise, and like I said, we go randomly on the map. I'm not looking for bad areas, I'm not looking for good areas, just randomly on the map. Let's see how those people live. Let's check this one, but I have a bad feeling about this. Oh, why they have those red flags here? What that means? Red flags. Looks like a construction. Yeah, keep in mind 2019. So I have, let's say, some small hopes that it's gonna be better by now, but not that much. Oh my god, same way of building things. Yeah, I have no idea. Oh shit, look at this again. Communist apartments, probably that from the communist flag. Those flags, yeah, red, perfect color for the communist. Yeah, let's go on this street. Oh no, it's 2019. I thought it's gonna be much newer. Yeah, it's just poverty. This is what happened. I mean, like I say, if there were 1 million people, whew, well different. They're gonna live much different and much better. But yeah, there is, in some case, we're gonna talk about the culture. It's just the way they like to build things, even if it's a horrible way to do it. With this, even have those cables It feels like there are a million people on the street here. 2012, so yeah, not that well. And here is 2023. Okay, we have a new one. Let's see how they change. Yeah, not that much as I expected. Can't change that much that fast, especially in a country with that many people. Way too many people. Even if you try to fix something in countries like this, it's pretty much impossible. It's just, where are you gonna start? Let's go on the beach. Let's give them that. Let's hope we're gonna find something extremely nice on the beach. That's the last hope. Yeah, we didn't start that well. Let me check another beach. Looking for those wild ones, maybe get better. We have a small community here that we don't have any 360s that I can check. Oh, let's check this 360 right here. Small one, so it should be good. They have black sand. The quality is not that great, but at least it looks pretty decent, I would say. Let's see if we can find another one made much better. This is 2025. Yeah, the quality is not that great. It's pretty much look like a tourist destination, but I'm gonna stay a while to find something nice here. Look at this. They just built exactly on the wrong way. They should let this beach pretty much with no interference, no development, and just leave some, let's say 100 meters at least, if not more, and then start developing. They just make exactly the opposite. They just develop as close as possible to the beach, and then they're gonna complain we're gonna have some storm and they're gonna get flooded. They're gonna complain, oh, the nature, it's in the nature faults, not ours, because we build that close to the short line. Such a stupid way to develop. This guy got it just a bit better. No, like I said, let at least 100 meters, if not more, 200 meters from the short line, and then you can start building in a nice, good way. But no, they decide we're gonna build exactly on the short line, and when something bad is gonna happen, we're gonna blame someone else. Hello. This is probably my fault, because I came from Europe directly to these videos in South America, and the difference is way too much, way too big. This is 2013. Yeah, okay, I have to say that too. Probably, hopefully, they got just a little bit more improvement, but I highly doubt that. This is one of those small country towns, village. I think this is the rich guy here. This is how the rich house look like that guy. The rest of them is just typically South American countries, development, urban areas. A lot of pickup trucks for, I would say, probably they're doing some farming activity. This look like a cemetery to me. I'm not gonna check that. Let's check the roads. Yeah, and check the roads, like the county roads, how well they get maintained. There is no road here, it's just a dirt road. So yeah, we're gonna skip that. What else can we find? Come on, I have to find something great besides the countryside. The countryside, look at this. You go in the mountains, probably it's gonna look amazing, just the way it is. Hopefully it's a great 360. It's 2022. Yeah, it is nice. Like I say, if you go in this countryside areas, in the mountains, even on the beach, I think if you look hard enough, you're gonna find something that is much better. Look at this. Probably in this area, you're gonna find much better. I'm not sure if you are in Colombia, but it's close to that. I'm not sure if you are, because I saw the lines going a bit down. Yeah, probably not. That's not Colombia. Let's go here. So yeah, if you go in the countryside, but clearly here I have no idea how you can actually support. Oh, they have deserts. Oh, that's nice. Look at this. I have no idea. Even in Europe, in a countryside, it's gonna be a tough time to pretty much support yourself. But in these countries, oof, probably it's gonna be even worse. Probably if you're working in tourism, I would say. That's usually a safe bet. Otherwise, oof, doesn't look that well, I have to say. Yeah, the landscape pretty much great. Just work on those 360. See how much important it is to make those 360 look as best as possible. It's gonna have a huge impact. This is 2019. I strongly believe they are not exactly permanently living spaces here for the population. It's just pretty much for tourists, let's call it like that. But yeah, in this area clearly it looks better. The beach looks better. Hopefully we are still in Colombia. Yeah, we are still there. What else? They have a lot of space, a lot of land. I'm not sure how they're doing with resource, but judging by the size of the country, probably they're doing very well. But clearly that doesn't show in everyday lives. But again, it's when you have 50 million people, it's hard even to identify where you're gonna start. See, that's the problem with overpopulation. Even if they have much more money. Oh, this is a nice beach. Actually, it's pretty nice. Even if you have more money, let's say you have 3 times as money, even 4 times as money, you're not gonna see huge changes in everyday lives for the average guy, I would say. Mainly because it's so hard to just make it work for that many people that fast. Yeah, the road doesn't look that great. I'm glad we settled that. Now, if you live in Colombia, probably you have to adjust your expectation and your lifestyle in a different way, I would say. So clearly you're not gonna go for this insanely rich lifestyle or even European one. You're gonna have to adjust on wherever you are right now and make it work with what we have, or you're gonna do pretty much as almost everyone does, which is find a better way life in other countries. Now, this is a recent one, 2023, and you can see the cables pretty much running everywhere. I believe not all of those have actually cable. It's pretty much some pirate signal or whatever. What is this? Why they have barbed wire? It's a military object? Probably it is. Or not. Yeah, I don't know why they have barbed wire there. You only have that if you look at this BMW right here. Okay, some rich guy living here. Otherwise you're not gonna find that. Yeah, expensive cars here. Clearly everywhere we go in this planet, in any country, it doesn't matter how rich they are, it doesn't matter how much poor they are, you're always gonna have poor people and rich people. But even if you are rich and you have to go on the streets every day looking like that, and yeah, at some point it doesn't even matter. You see barbed wire pretty much everywhere. Looks like a war zone to me. Oh yeah, if you're living there, well, I'm glad to hear about how exactly the life is there. How exactly did you live? What is your expectation? Wow, look at this, how they pretty much concentrate everybody in this open air space prison, I'll call it. That's available for pretty much every city in the world right now, not just this one. But yeah, just oh that guy. They have 2 poles to each other for whatever reason. I have no idea what is that, but it looks interesting. It's kind of depressing, I have to say. I didn't expect much, but I didn't expect to see exactly that bad. I mean, I get it why those football players, or if you have an American soccer players, choose to go to Europe at first chance. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much money you have there, you have to live, I would say, like I said, you have to live like, not like this, but you want to go in a city, you want to go somewhere, and you see all kind of things. This is a horrible building. This one, it looks a bit better, I would say. They have a bit more front yard, but still, the road are not that well. You can make it, like I said, you can make it work in those countries, but the problem is, when you make it work with so much less and you're gonna adjust your life, so low expectation, I don't see how you're gonna improve in the long term when pretty much nobody's gonna be motivated to do that much. because it doesn't matter in your lifetime how much you're gonna do. If you choose to stay here, you're not gonna have that much, and you're gonna go back home seeing those, look at this, garbage on the streets, pretty much all the houses. This one is pretty much a bit better, but the rest of them you can see all the houses jammed together. It does not look good for anybody. Probably when you're gonna see green area, it's gonna look better, but when you're gonna see pretty much no trees, it's gonna be much worse. But yeah, it looks like there are 50 million people and everybody should have a house, and doesn't matter how well that house it is, as long as the house, it is what it is. Yeah, it does look bad. It does look bad. And again, I have to say, it's hard to even to blame the government for those one. They have the responsibility 100%, but it's hard to blame them when they have that many people. Look at this, that many people that fast. They start with 13 million and now they got to 53 million that fast. The good news is they're gonna slow down and probably gonna see a decline in population, but this century I don't see anything truly changed in these countries. And it's probably easy for them, I would say, to go in America, but with what's happening there right now, probably I would choose a country with small population, because that you're gonna have much more impact, less competition for you, and for most likely you're gonna see the life improving on a much faster rate, especially in your lifetime, than choosing to live in those huge countries, because yeah, they might have better, let's say, opportunities there, like in US, but probably you're not gonna make that much of a difference, and most likely you're not gonna live that dream life. That's the reality for most of the people, even for Americans that are actually born and raised there. So probably I would say, if you still wanna go, doesn't matter which country you are, in the south, center, whatever. If you still wanna go, try your luck in another country, I think they should be the main object. Choose a country with very small population, and make sure you can do something that have an impact on that very fast, and yeah, pretty much try to improve it on that, I would say, because if you go in a big countries, pretty much nobody's gonna care anything you do there, whatever, unless you are a super genius, which is probably you're not. Most of us are not geniuses, so it is what it is. Yeah, it's 2023. They have some new cars, I would say, but in this part of the country, part of the planet, I don't think they care even remotely about car pollution or stuff like that, so that's probably the last thing on their mind. But I like those old cars, they're very nice. We're gonna lose that in Europe here very soon, but we already kind of lose it, but it's nice to see it elsewhere. Pretty much in Europe right now, you're gonna see cars not that much older than 10 years if you get lucky. Most of them is gonna be new cars or 5 years old, something like that. It is good, but you're gonna lose again that old car history. So yeah, I think this is actually a road. This is 2023, so very recently. Here probably make some gravel to help them reach that hill when it's raining. Yeah, I don't think it's much we can see in Colombia. I would say a pretty sad one, but I can expect that in a way. I didn't expect to be that bad, I have to say. I failed look again, barbed wire. I failed to find a good neighborhood and at least a decent one in this area, and pretty much everything looks, especially when it rains, it looks sad. I guess it is what it is, but this is a company, a brand, firm, something. Yeah, it is poverty, that's for sure. That's the best way you can describe it, the most realistic word you can describe it. What are those cables just sitting like that? It is poverty. poverty, it's at home here. And like I say, from what we saw, I'm not saying it's not gonna be rich people. They're always gonna be rich people. Everybody go. We're gonna check African countries and gonna see some guy with a Lamborghini or whatever. But that doesn't make it a great country. Now let's check those main streets for a reason. Probably it's gonna be some highways here. They are a huge one. The roads are not that bad here. Actually, probably it's one of those roads that they have a lot of traffic on them. So yeah, it's not a highway, just one lane, but still, at least it's decent. Yeah. Otherwise, tough country to live, I have to say. The best thing they can do, and they kind of start doing, is just pretty much, they have some good roads in some part of the country. Not all bad. Just in a urban area they're bad probably. The best thing that they can do now, they start doing that, just pretty much reduce the population, reduce the growing of the population. Population is still going up, and maybe the next century gonna see some improvement. But for everyone who's alive today, right now, I hate to break it to you, you're not gonna see anything that you expect to see in a growing economic country. I don't see that huge opportunities and huge life changes here. Otherwise, if you're living in the countryside, you're gonna be probably the best life you can actually have here. I would say if somehow you manage to have something like a small business or something that's yours, especially in a tourism area, probably gonna do much better than everyone else. But look at this, they have some expensive car here too. Probably it's better to live in, just look at this, in the small villages than actually living in the urban area, a huge urban area. At least oh my god, how are you gonna cross with a car like that? You're gonna just pretty much break everything in your car. Oh god. Yeah, clip. Oh, some garbage there. This part is the best I can see. Otherwise, pretty bad, just the way it is, pretty bad. So yeah, I guess that was the video. If you live there, just leave a comment and tell me exactly how the life is there, and you think it's an improvement, you think it's gonna be better with let's say in the next 25 years. And when I say better, I mean compare with the best of the world, not just what you have now. And if you have to choose the country to pretty much move out, which one is gonna be?